Nigerians already know that the country is difficult. Like they are already aware of that. So they want to be respected. If you let the Nigerian know that, oh, this is going to take 10 extra minutes, you already sedated his anger. He sort of feels respected. And this was something we wanted. Like, again, we wanted to be different. Any other brand could look at that and be like, you don't need to tell them, just go and deliver the thing. But we wanted to put that there that your plantain is taking 10 extra minutes. We're sorry it's taking long, but it will get to you soon. I think my journey into design generally comes from my mom. My mom was a fashion designer and she used to make her own clothes. I used to see what she used to wear and I didn't used to see them anywhere else. I don't do stuff I don't like. If I don't like stuff, I'm just gonna stop doing it. I live my life like I'm playing a video game, but then I play video games like it's real life. Where you're playing FIFA or you're playing adventure games. What you're testing is how great of a decision maker you are. First off, this is something that hasn't even been said anywhere publicly, so I'll be saying this.
Just a quick message before we dive into today's episode. I found something interesting in our data, which showed that only about 25% of our viewers are actually subscribed to the channel. If you've been enjoying the content that we're creating, if you've been finding it exciting or learning something new, I have a little favor to ask of you. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, as it goes a long way in helping us deliver more exciting episodes like this and create more valuable content. It'll be amazing. Hi everyone, my name is Mo and this is the Hungry Creative Podcast. Today we have Damian.
Yeah.
And Damian, please introduce yourself to our audience and tell them what you do.
Hi everyone. So just like Mo said, I'm Damian. I'm a designer. Like I like to keep it really simple. I don't want to like really say what kind of design, but basically I'm a designer generally. I generally think that design is in its simplest form putting stuff together. Like that's really the simplest way to think about it. I mean, you see something and then you want to show others what you've seen. And in that sense, I'm a designer in that sense. I'm also a designer at Chowdeck. Like I work at Chowdeck. Chowdeck is really, literally the work of my life. I've been doing this for 4 years now, so it's been really fun. And then outside of Chowdeck, I own a product design studio in Lagos with my partner. It's called Hef. We make really funny looking pieces. I say funny because, like, yeah, they do be coming off as funny sometimes. But the point is that these pieces sort of start conversations. They're the kind of pieces that when you have them, people will always ask you, where did you get that? And that's really,
Yeah.
that's one thing, like, generally about kind of things I like to get into. Yeah, I don't know if that works as an introduction, but yeah,
That
that's
definitely works.
yeah.
I mean, that's good for a starter. That's good enough for a starter. I think thinking about it now, I don't even know which one to start from or to start with, because you've mentioned child deck and you've now mentioned the furniture and product design as well aspect, which is interesting because a normal person, like, how do you even manage doing those two things? And that's not all to even, to say that those are not the only two things that you do. You also write, I believe, from your content. And I think you're doing a lot of things. So let's speak about Chowdeck now. Let's just talk about Chowdeck. So for Chowdeck, for most Nigerians who live in Lagos especially, they've interacted with Chowdeck at some point, or whether you've seen their dispatch riders or you've seen maybe their creatives on Instagram or on Twitter, you must have at some point heard about it and seen it. So what was that starting point for you guys? What were you trying to solve? What problem were you trying to solve when introduced Chowdeck?
I mean, like it was a very personal story for the founder, Femi Aluko. Like he had a bad experience trying to order a meal at some point in his life, and and that's the thing about people who truly cause change, right? He had a bad experience, didn't want to just leave it at the bad experience. He wanted to ensure that not a lot of people get to experience that same thing he had just gone through, and so he wanted to fix that. He went on this journey, then to try to create something that would definitely be available for Nigerians to like order meals at any time, not like only specific times, like being able to order whatever it is that you want to get. And I think for Chowdeck particularly, one of the most interesting things that really happened for us, like from the start, like based off what we wanted to do, is like we were really certain on starting where we started, because we started Chowdeck on the mainland. I mean, Lagos is island mainland in a sense. We started Chowdeck on the mainland because we noticed that a lot of, I mean, there were other food delivery apps in the country at the time, but they were mostly only aggregating certain type of brands and not necessarily giving Nigerians the experience of what it really means to like order food. I mean, there's already a culture around how Nigerians eat, like that already exists. So most of the other platforms that existed weren't really touching that experience. You know, they were trying to create stuff that was outside of culture, and we weren't going to do that same thing. We wanted to create stuff that sort of mirrors culture, and so we went after bookers, like you would call them. I mean, we call them bookers, right? So we tried to onboard a lot of bookers on the platform, make it possible for you to be able to buy rice 200, naira meat, two eggs. Like that is the culture of like buying food for the average Nigerian, and that was something we really wanted to drive with. Like we, that was like I'd say hand on chest, that was like our Tom's card at the time. We wanted to really get that to work, help Nigerians get the experience that they're already used to. Aside just the experience and then the culture, Chowdeck really came into the business delivering meals like in under 30 minutes, sometimes in 12 minutes. And then it seemed like, oh, it was impossible. But that was really what helped us like gain traction. Like people would order meals on Chowdeck, get their food before like they came out of the bathroom, and then they will go tweet about it. Like again, Nigerians know what excellence is when they see it. So we're really looking to like do that for a lot of Nigerians, create the culture, like make the experience something that you're already used to, but also make it really good, like make it excellent, just like the Nigerian spirit in a sense. So meals were being delivered under 30 minutes. People were talking about it all the time. And I mean, these meals were coming from local restaurants, not restaurants like KFC and the likes, but like, you know, Yamoria, Jishafe, Correde Spaghetti. These were the guys that we started with, King Lab, like really small restaurants that were mostly in school areas, right? So that really just set us apart in a sense, like helped us with capturing like the attention that we needed in the beginning, and also helped us like get Nigerians to really trust the business and really understand that, oh, Chadek is not just playing. We really want to like solve a problem. Because again, like I said, like it was from that place of experiencing a problem that the whole of this was bettered. So yeah, I think that was it.
Wow, there's so much to unpack from that one. So much to unpack. In fact, it feels like just for what you said now, it seems to me as if that you're like even more than just a designer. Like you actually understand the root problem from the very beginning. And I feel like it goes to speak about problem solving, like designers, not just looking at themselves as, oh, I'm a graphic designer, so let me just stick with graphic design and let me just stick with product design. Or I think it's really about problem solving at at its depth, like at the very very minuscule part of it. Like when you think about this scenario that you've just painted, about the very like looking at that Nigerian context and seeing that food delivery was actually like, should I say, marginalized to a certain category or segment. Because I was living in Nigeria then and I experienced this. You couldn't go on the other platforms and order from Yamoria, for example. I went to Unilag, so I know Yamoria because I used to eat in Yamoria.
Yeah, yeah.
Corride spaghetti was in
Hmm.
Unilag. Like all those guys. It was Chowdeck that started doing that. Or I had to drive to Unilag. I remember having to drive to Unilag to go and get food from Corride, you know. So like that problem was a very real problem for Nigerians. But again, we didn't even realize the problem was there because people just got along with what was
What was
available,
available exactly?
and then you guys just came into the market and you guys just blew it off, right, with your solution. I mean, what would I even ask? How were you even able to achieve that turnaround time of delivery? I think that one question I want to ask. How did you achieve that? What kind of culture did you have to inspire or to instill in your riders to be able to commit to delivering in that time? Like I told you before, we've had a food business in Nigeria, and I've worked with dispatch riders, and at some point we have to have like three dispatch riders, and we're just one small business. Like we don't even need three dispatch, but because we can't trust them all, you know so we have to say, okay, if one doesn't come, at least the other one will come. Okay, at least we'll have two out of three. Worst case scenario, some days I had to be the one to go and deliver food myself, because I mean, everyone that lives in Nigeria, especially Lagos, would be able to relate to this. Those guys, we've heard all kinds of stories.
Yeah,
People opening your food. People have
straight.
opened our food before,
Hmm.
like
Very, very.
dispatch riders. So how did you achieve that from a very should I say, early stage,
Hmm.
right? Because again, I want to really narrow down on this. for a small business, for a business that's just launching and just starting up, it's harder to get people to buy your vision because you don't have track record. That's from my experience. But I feel like people fear bigger brands because they're like, if I fail here, then there's no hope for me, right? But for early stage startups that are just launching, how were you able to inspire that, vision into those riders or into all your stakeholders? Because it's not just riders, it's also people getting the food out of whether it's the booker or those things. Like everything else is a chain reaction.
Hmm.
So how were you able to get all that chain, all those elements in the chain reaction to connect and create that experience for customers?
I mean, it was a number of things, and first of all, I would also say that we were lucky. We were really there was a lot of luck in there, but there was also being intentional. Like I would always attribute this the part of intentionality to the founder. Femi is a very intentional person, and we're very particular about the kind of riders we were trying to get from the very beginning. So we would speak to riders, try to sell you a dream, and the dream was you can make a lot of money. We're trying to change something in the country, stuff that doesn't exist. I mean, a lot of these writers were already on some other platforms, but they knew the experience, that what they were getting there. And then you're not telling a writer that, oh, you're picking from Yamoria, so, and Yamorian's experience is already an experience that a dispatch rider shares, in a sense. Like he probably already goes there to eat. So when you sell that story to him, he sees himself already doing that. And that's why I said there was a bit of luck in there, because like, we also relied on some of the relationships that were pre-existing with these vendors. These vendors already had a system of their own, so we just came in, just made that system a lot better. Speak to these riders, paid them really well, and then also like get them to understand that, oh, this is like a thing, there's a journey here. You're not just going to be riders on Chowdeck for the long run. You're a rider now, can get to a point where you now start recruiting your own riders. So he starts to create a vision in his mind of what tomorrow could look like. So again, it's a mixture of luck, a mixture of the culture we were growing at the time, and being intentional about the kind of people we're trying to get to. One of the things we told riders then in the beginning, like, oh yeah, come do this with us. After a couple months, you'll be the one going to look for riders and leading other riders. Everybody wants to grow, so you sell someone the dream of like possible growth within a certain line of business, and then they want to adopt that, so because they want to be better than they are currently. I mean, everybody wants that for themselves. So it was a mix of all those things generally.
Wow, I know. I figured that you guys must have done something differently to have been able to achieve those turnaround time of delivery, the quality of service. And then let's even talk about the experience, like, the product, the brand. That's even another side of it. I remember someone saying to me one time when they were about to, do like a brand design for their product, and they were like, I want exactly what you have with Chowdeck. I want what, in fact, I want the designer at Chowdeck. I was like, bruh, like, bruh. So I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't promise you Chowdeck quality, but I mean, it speaks to like how intentional you guys also like, scaled that vision to visuals, right? Because from your visuals, it felt like this is not just food, this is not just delivery. We want you to have an experience with even the brand. Exactly. It felt different. It felt like, oh, this guy is really mean business. Like from the very get go, seeing the creatives, it's just like, why are you guys paying so much attention to design? So again, the question goes, how were you able to scale, or how were you able to create that experience visually also for customers? Because we definitely know that this experience also, there's a brand side to it, which is also visual, how people see things and perceive things. So how were you able to also translate that vision into visuals?
Okay, like really good question. So I think first off, this is something that hasn't even been said anywhere publicly. So I'll be saying this here. When the entire, Chowdeck project came up, and I realized I was going to be handling like the visuals. I wanted again, just because the experience the CEO had was really personal and it was rooted in culture. I wanted to figure out a way to make sure that the design wasn't so removed from our experience as Nigerians in the country. Like there's this shape that we have like that is pretty recurrent when you look at the Chowdeck visual design language. That shape was literally mapped to street signs. The way with street signs we have like yeah to know where you're going basically like so we wanted I really wanted to really hone in on that because that could serve as a lot of things. Street signs help with clarity. They serve as a form of call outs. You could basically get an idea of where you're going if you're looking at street signs. I mean, that was the first thing. And then the second thing, if you truly are the kind of person who pays attention to like Chowdeck's branding, you'd also notice we're very heavy on shapes. These shapes represent a lot of things, like from the meal you're ordering to the plate you're eating it in to the houses in the streets, you know, tying it back again to the street sign. Like geometry literally and that was another part of the visual we really settled in on. We wanted those things to be really clear, and then we went in that direction, and then I knew, oh yes, the next thing would be colors, right? And then the colors had to also represent like our cultural meals. Like I mean, when you look at like an average Nigerian meal, yeah, it's bursting with colors. Like we have jollof, yeah, there's jollof, there's a wedu. You know, the colors have to. It just has to work, and I had to figure out a way to distill all of that into one like brand and ensure that it really carries the message in a sense. So those things, so they basically just were a way to reflect the Nigerian culture. Dialing back a bit to the street sign conversation, like I generally have a problem with location, so I used to rely on street signs a lot. Like moving around Lagos, like yeah, I have to always look around to be sure, oh, where's this place and that kind of stuff. And then and there's something I'm already exposed to in a sense. I know if I'm experiencing something, I'm definitely not the only person experiencing this, and so I wanted to really hold on to that. And that was like a major thing. Like, oh yeah, we had to make sure that when we're trying to relay a message or something that's important, let us use this. This will work for people. And when they eventually find out, oh, that this visual element is tied to something that they are already exposed to, then it sort of sells the message. And yeah, that sort of also spill into all the other things like I mentioned, even down to when like how we expanded on colors, because the colors we started with in the very beginnings are not the color are not just the only colors we have today. We expanded stuff, but again, we had to make sure from the beginning that the foundation was really solid, so that you could allow for that expansion in a sense. Dialing back to the conversation also around shapes, the last bit that we added to the visual language for Chowdeck were our illustrations. I mean, in the beginning, we sort of started out with images, you know, but I sort of knew there was something that wasn't entirely sitting well, because like back like about 4 years ago, it was really hard in a sense, you know, to get images that would really represent like the African person. Now you want to go online to try to get images and you're not really finding what you want. So, and I didn't want to be really dependent on that. I wanted something flexible. And I knew this was not an ability that I had. So definitely, I mean, this is stuff that I'll probably talk more about as we go on. I had to go hunting for someone who could really cook illustrations that would truly reflect like what it is to be Nigerian in a sense. And so with those four pillars, our visual language was really solidified in a sense. We knew, oh yes, I knew for a fact that illustrations just mean flexibility. Like it means I can get whatever I want. If I want to get any certain scene, I can do that as long as like illustrations for that exist. And Nigerians are quite dynamic. We like to move around. We have that hustle culture. So I knew I could also capture that a lot, like with illustrations. And we like our food. And so, like, wanting to capture all of that experience and making sure that we're not leaving anything out of the way. Yeah, that was why we went in that direction in a sense, generally.
Wow, so much to unpack in that one too. Again, so much gems. I feel like you're just dropping gems on gems. Which one do I even pick on? I see like so many things happening. You've spoken about the power of intentional branding. I think that's one thing I'll take. For a business owner or for someone that is going into business that's just like, at the early stage, just trying to like figure out their market fits, just figuring out their product offerings and what, their differentiator factor or whatever, is thinking about brand, right? About their brand. I feel like this is something that they can watch or listen to and be inspired and understand like the power of branding. And another thing I also say is that branding also is like, for me, from what you said, it also feels like it's something that you figure out along the way, right? If you didn't try out images, you might not realize that images are not like working for you. You might not have it all figured out from day one, that okay, this is exactly how this brand will be, right? But by doing it and trying it out and then seeing the limitations that you have, then you're able to like say, okay, this is not going to be sustainable down the line, or it's not going to be able to interpret the messaging or the, the whatever emotions or whatever it is that you're trying to portray, and it's going to limit us eventually. And then you try out something else, you go a different direction, still in line with your vision. Because I think as long as you have that vision as your, as your pointer, then you always, guide you that way. So I think so much to unpack on that one. So you've spoken about products. Oh, you haven't spoken about the product now. You've spoken about the brand and how the brand, the brand has evolved using, colors, the vibrance of the colors. I think the colors are always just busting. You just look at your feed and you're just seeing green, red, yellow, like all that. It looks like, a play a dish of a dish of yeah. I'm sure that definitely has had an impact on people because there's something that we call top of mind awareness. I mean, you're aware of that. When you see a brand's creative, just that instinctive nature thing of being able to just quickly say, okay, this is Chowdeck. That I think that's definitely something that I feel like you guys have achieved with your branding. You mentioned geometric shapes. You guys use geometric shapes so much, right? You have your illustrations. There's so much going on. It's so vibrant. I don't even know what the word is. Like so much is happening, but everything is like in sync. So, I mean, that also comes with like a cost. So, how would you say when you were starting this, like I know you can't like talk about like how much you invested into this, but I know it definitely cost something to like really be intentional about it. So some other brands might go into this business and say, "Oh no, you know what? Let's work on our operations. We need more dispatch riders. Don't worry. When we have more dispatch riders, we'll think about the brand." So like, how were you able to really get the buy-in, right? Because you mentioned that the founder um was quite intentional about solving that problem based on their own experience. So how were you able to get the buy-in of the founder and the board, or the leadership to to really invest into branding?
I'll tell a short story here. It's just a short story. So like, and this sort of segues into how I actually got into designing at Chowdeck, like how I actually got into the company. So my the founder was, I went to the same school. We're classmates in school. But of course after school, everybody goes into whatever it is that they're doing. And then I was just on Instagram Sunday, and then I see him put up a post. Chowdeck is a social media banner, something about getting your meals. And I was already 5 years into my design journey at the time, and I saw that and I just texted him like, "Yo, I can make this a lot better. Like this doesn't look good." And then this is one thing I really like about Femi. Femi really respects people who are really certain about their game. Like if you know your shit, he respects you. So that was literally my message to him. Like, this doesn't look good. I can make it good. And I get called in for a call after that. And then I was just asked like, okay, yeah, you say you can make it good then. And I just, yeah. And then in a couple of hours, I sent in another document. This document had a number of flyers. I had changed a number of things. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was already. That was like I was on like, I like yeah, it was real quick.
Tell us more. Where were you at that point? You were definitely somewhere.
Yeah,
Tell us
definitely.
where you
Yeah,
were.
yeah. Like I was working as a design lead at a financial company at the time. I was leading a team of creatives
Okay.
at the time. So
Oh, okay.
basically, seeing stuff that my friend was already working on and knowing I could make it look better for him was just like, yeah, I could do this. And at the time, like the colors Chowdeck had were not great. So like, but I was like, yeah, I can make. I know what I know what would make this look really good. And then I sent in a doc. Like the small team of six of us at the time, we they looked at the doc, and they really loved the idea of what it is that I was doing differently. Because the doc basically just brought in a lot of contrast. I mean, made it easy for people to get the message because you know when the colors are everywhere and then there's no order, nobody sees what you're trying to say. But you bring in a bit of order, and then even vibrant colors start to make sense. So like that was really what that was like, bringing that in. And so on the point of like getting the rest of the team to buy into it, I mean that really just sealed it because like there was already a signifier that, oh yeah, this person knows what to do. And Femi, like the founder, it really just allowed, like, once you know what you're doing, like, and that's all he's really after. You know what you're doing. Once you know that he's, because again, he had no idea what, he had no design knowledge. So it was also like a way to get a lot of load off of him so that he could focus on the things he was well fitted for. And that's where it would really just like, yeah, it was just made that really easy. So came in with like newer things, better ways to arrange things, sort of made the logo a bit balanced because like I think I mentioned it earlier, like a logo was already existing at the time. It just was out of place. Like it didn't even look like it was could be balanced in a sense. So yeah, I mean, and so after that first call where like I did a presentation, that really just like sealed it. So if ever I had any interest or any request design wise, it was always a yes. Like from that point, like, oh yes, 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 basically.
Because of the trust,
Yes,
because you
yes,
earn that trust.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
so that the element of trust is definitely there.
Hmm.
And I feel like for any creative that is watching this, um getting that trust is by, from your experience now, from that being able to pitch yourself. I mean, my last guest also spoke about pitching himself. I think that's a common denominator here for some creatives. And it's really interesting because you see a problem and then you offer that solution, and then you're able to create that solution in such a way that it just changes the, you know, the entire landscape of everything. And you're able to get that instant buy-in. The owners of the business can see the change, right? They can see the impact, the potential impact, or even the long-term impact of, that change. And then you can build on that as well. You can keep, that trust by, coming through, which is what then, allows them to trust you to bring more revisions, more additions, and on and like that. Another question I'll have to ask, probably maybe the last one on this topic, is how, like, what do you reckon was like the impact, right, in terms of like bottom line now, right, from the point when you started to, do these things compared to before? I don't know, maybe you have those insights. So before you came in, okay, amazing. Before you came in, something was going on. They were doing some numbers, and then when you came in, was there, comparing those two, what was like the impact?
Also, I wouldn't say numbers in terms of sales, but I would say numbers
Okay.
in terms of like acceptance generally. Because
Mm,
for like acceptance in, because Chowdeck, the team before I came in, they wanted to first of all build some sort of brand awareness. Like people should relate with what we're putting out there before we even go live operationally. The idea was to, build the coming soon. There's there's something that's coming that is like way better than anything that exists currently. But people had to buy into the visuals, right? Because like what you would have at the time is social media. Like, I mean, even if you're great operationally, which is what the founder already had on lock, like he knew he wanted to start on the mainland. He knew he wanted to start with local restaurants, but you have to communicate all of those things visually. Like people have to be scrolling on Instagram and pause, that kind of stuff. So coming in as a designer, again, I wasn't just a designer, like visual designer. Like I said initially when we were starting this conversation, like design for me really just means putting stuff together. So I was also writing copy, and and that was where the you don't chow. That was where that word was coined. Like I coined that at the time because we like I knew. I mean, it's great to speak to Nigerians, like speak English to Nigerians. I mean, it's great, like yeah, but I know my people. It's sort of yeah, I know my people in a sense, and we wanted people to stop scrolling. So like it made sense to use language that they were already used to, yeah, familiar with in a sense. And so you don't chow was really just it. Like put that out as a message. Make sure the colors are contrasting. So like our basic colors are dark forest green color against the bright yellow. Like really just creates that contrast. You want to like what's happening. Like you want to pause in a sense. So that was like really the first impact. The first impact was to really get a lot of Nigerians now anticipating whatever it is that Chowdeck was going to roll out, like visually in a sense. So like we started getting like that brand awareness results that we wanted because like that was where we could change things instantly. I mean, if you have great operations but nobody's ordering meals, like yeah, your operations just stays there in a sense. But if you catch people's attention, then they want to try your product, then your operation now has to come in. So like that was really the angle in a sense. And at the time too, this was also going to spill into the product because again, as a designer, I wasn't just coming in as a brand designer. I also designed the very first version of the Chowder product, and it was easy to link whatever it is that I was already doing in the branding part into the product. Like, make sure the product was simple, like just get people to get their food. You don't want anybody coming on the app and trying to think about, oh, how does this work? Like yeah, keep things simple. Use colors to like really help people know where to move to, all that kind of stuff. I mean, in the very beginning, we even there was something we used to do at the very beginning. We don't do this anymore. I mean, but in the beginning, we used to let people know that the plantain that they are waiting for is taking extra time. Like yeah, like if you ordered food and the vendor started just frying your batch of plantain, we would send you a push notification letting you know
Wow.
that oh the plantain is yeah. So it was
How
we're really intentional
how
about a
did
lot
you
of
even
stuff.
how did you even do that with a team of six? How did you even get all that data?
Yo, it was like I mean the team, we're a small
The product
team, but
team.
yeah, we're a small
Mm-hmm.
team, but like we're really intentional people. People wanted
Wow.
to do stuff, and again,
Hmm.
I used to say something back then that Nigerians already know that the country is difficult. Like they are already aware of that. So they want to be respected. Like not really is it like for example, if you order something, and say for example, and maybe in your delivery time you already said it was going to come in 30 minutes and it's now going to come in 40 minutes. Nigerians know there's traffic in Lagos. They know, but if you let the Nigerian know that this is going to take 10 extra minutes, like you already sedated his anger, and so he sort of feels respected, and this was something we wanted. Like we wanted to be different, so these were the things we were really focused on in the beginning, letting people know that 10 minutes extra. I mean, any other brand could look at that and be like, you don't need to tell them, just go and deliver the thing. But we wanted to put that there that your plantain is taking 10 extra minutes. We're sorry it's taking long, but it will get to you soon. Like so yeah, all those things in the beginning days, they sort of just help us like get the goodwill of the people, and then people wanted to now push Chowdeck. Like so, a lot of the beginning people now want to be like, oh yeah, this brand they like this brand. I mean, they get the food out to me in due time, and when there's issues, they communicate it to me. I mean. The stuff looks good, the product is simple, and then people just started rooting for the brand like moving forward. So yeah, it was a number of all those things coming together.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, should I say it's a product masterclass? Because I mean, sometimes we complicate these things. We overcomplicate it sometimes. I mean, creating amazing products is really about solving people's problems at the very, you know, elementary or the very simplest way possible. And through some of these things that you're talking about, the product definitely solve these problems. I mean, I've worked with digital products, I've worked with, and one thing I always say is to design fantastic product or to design great products, you just need to understand people's behavior and their expectations and be able to serve them. And I think this thing that you just said just speaks so much to that. Understanding that people are empathetic. towards most things. People are understanding. Like I've worked on, I used to work on in remittance. So I used to work as product manager for a remittance brand. And when you work on remittance, it's a very sensitive industry because money transfer
Money,
is
yeah.
involved, bro. If your money doesn't arrive
Bro,
in that,
yeah.
bro,
They're
you're gonna hear
coming for
word.
you, yeah.
They are
Straight,
coming.
straight.
So I always say that, you know, before that customer escalates it, just let the customer know right on the product there. Just say, there's a slight delay. Whatever is causing the delay, don't worry. Just say, payout is taking a bit more time. Nigerian banks are delaying, you know, and people understand. In fact, when we check our reviews, people will say, "Oh, sometimes they fail, but Nigerian banks are the cause." They will even give you the excuse. They will tell you what happened.
Hmm.
They're just the customer, but
Yeah,
they will make
fight your
excuse
battles.
for
Yeah,
you.
yes, yes, yes.
Exactly. So like they'll be and like my point is that when you serve people and they trust you, they make excuses for you. Tunji said that on the last episode on 2 episodes ago. He said great brands can get away with like issues because they've had track record of building great products over time. So people can make excuses for them. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk more about you now. Enough about Chowdeck. So, well, yeah, it was very insightful. Ones there, we definitely want to take away about product. So, talking about you now, being a multidisciplinary designer, you said you're just a designer, but I think I can still categorize you as someone that has explored different disciplines. Going into product design, industrial product design, I think that's something that intrigues me a lot because we're creating like things, usable elements at the most physical form, things that we use, everyday items, furniture, tables, chairs, mirrors, but still using your own lens, through how you see, how you perceive space, how you perceive experiences, the home, how people interact with products. So what inspired you to go into that? And what is the inspiration behind like those explorations? Because I feel like the things that you create are one of one, right? Because I'm seeing them, I'm like, I've never seen this before. Obviously it's custom. So what inspired you to go into product design, I mean industrial product design, and then going into furniture and creating these elements?
First off, design generally, I think my journey into design generally comes from my mom. My mom was a fashion designer, and she used to make her own clothes. And like I used to see what she used to wear, and I didn't used to see them anywhere else. So yeah, and that was I think that sort of stood out for me. And at the time, I was a kid, so I wasn't really particularly paying attention to these things, but they seep into your subconscious, right? Like they're part of the things that you just when you start to grow up, you start to pull from a certain well. You don't know that all these things have been building up on your inside in a sense. So before even venturing, so of course I had already started as a digital designer, designing on my laptop and all that stuff, and I just realized that I want to hold stuff that I design. I want to touch it. Like I want to feel it. Like I mean, it's great to design stuff digitally, and but I also want it to exist with me in the same space that I'm existing in. And even before I went into like doing like furniture, I actually started out my, will I say, design out of the digital space in fashion. Like I was making clothes at the time, but then I started out making clothes. But like one thing that I pay a lot of attention to is the fulfillment that comes from whatever it is that I'm doing. When I'm doing something, I don't just do. I also wait to see, do I really like what I'm doing? And so when I was making clothes, I had a buddy at the time. We're doing this together, but then I realized quickly that I mean clothes are great, but I can't. I'm not expressing as much as I want through this medium, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I want to try something else, and then came furniture like wood, and and the wood thing came from one piece of wood, actually one particular piece of wood that we then put out for exhibition like later. I mean, I saw a tree trunk, uh, and it had a really weird shape, and I was looking at that trunk, and I was just looking at, this can be something else. Like it looks weird and abandoned right now. It's just there, but I feel like this trunk is asking me to touch it and make it, yeah, make it into something else. And really, that was the experiment, for myself and my partner at the time. We looked at that tree trunk for a long time, trying to think what we could do with it, and we decided to make a console, that would have a plant, that would have a planter under it. And yeah, we're like, yeah, this is what we're going to do, and we put in the work, because again, the entire idea was to create stuff we could feel, in a sense, stuff that I could touch, and then, that was the first experiment, and we put that out. At the time, Design Week Lagos was just starting. I think it was their very first edition, and we are like, oh yeah, let's put this up and see what people think of it. And we put it up at the exhibition, and then on the day of the exhibition, we realized that a lot of people were coming to look at that particular piece, and there were a lot of other pieces there. And what we did, we burnt the wood. Then painted it black. We burnt it because, when you burn wood, the texture it gives is like really grainy, right? And then we wanted to do fun stuff with that grain. We were able to then paint it, like we figured out gold painting into the cracks of the wood, and then we placed a planter under it, and then the hole that was in the trunk, now served as like some type of opening for like the plant to like come out. So it was a console that could also hold a plant. And like, people kept asking like, oh, did you carve this wood? And then of course there was no need to lie. We're like, no, this trunk really just was existing in and of itself. Like, this is a free form type furniture. Like, we didn't have to do much. The only things we did was to give it the legs that it would stand on, but like the shape of the console itself was completely natural. And that was like where it all started. And after all of that acceptance, it just made sense to us that, yeah, like, I mean, we could do more of this, because the idea just came now. Instead of just making a regular console, how about we just keep making consoles that make people ask questions? Because, like, I don't want you to come into my house, see my console, and then be talking about the thing that I put on the console and not talk about the console. So, yeah, yeah. So the idea was to then now start making pieces that would drive conversations, and I mean, and that was just really it. That was it, really.
Interesting, interesting. Wow, I think I have a picture of it. I'm just looking at it now. That's an interesting story about how you came about that very one. And I mean, you've gone ahead to create different PCs. You've created like lamps. I think you've created lamps, right? Chairs, lounge chairs, benches. It's just so dynamic and very unpredictable. And I can almost see a sequence. I can't even see a sequence or a look is like very quick changing and should I say free forming again. And so you said the inspiration is basically for it to generate conversations. So what has been the experience doing this like? How challenging is it, managing this in addition to every other thing that you do? Does it bring, I mean, before I go into that, can you just tell us like what is it like balancing that with every other thing that you're doing?
So again, like, I would like to say that because I'm doing things that I like doing, like none of the things that I'm engaged in currently is stuff I don't like. I don't do stuff I don't like. If I don't like stuff, I'm just gonna stop doing it. I'm pretty aware of the fact that I have only a finite amount of energy and a finite amount of time on this plane of existence. So I really only pick stuff that interests me. And so for doing this and all the other things I do, there really is a connection. Like, again, like, this is also why I try not to say I'm a brand designer, I'm a visual designer, product. I just say I'm a designer, because like, it's design. Design is the linking thing for all this stuff. When I see a piece of furniture, I can already imagine what I want it to look like in the end. Just in the same way, a digital designer will open Illustrator and see a white screen, but that screen is also always a daunting experience. Like, yeah, white. But as the designer, you sort of have a vision of where you want that white screen to end. In a sense, you pull you know where you're going, and you that happens with furniture also. Like, you see a piece of wood, you know where that would, you know what it can be, and the journey of getting it there is really the fun part, not necessarily where we're going, because sometimes you don't exactly arrive where you initially imagined, but you arrive somewhere. Yeah, so it's just like, oh, the thing that is fun is taking on this task of designing. That's what makes it fun. So there really isn't a lot of like managing, like, oh, how do I manage? It's just a different form of expression. When I'm done expressing in front of my laptop screen, I get to express on furniture. I get to express with my pen when I write. So it's really just designing. Like either way is like designing. I get to express when I'm doing art direction or creative direction for a video shoot. It's again another form of like putting stuff together and then really just focusing on the journey itself of creating rather than, oh, what is this piece going to look like, or where is this, because the more you're stuck on the end, the farther away the end becomes. But you fall in love with the journey, and then yeah, you want to go on as many journeys as you can, while you have the energy.
Man, guy, you should write a book or host a master class. So much wisdom, man. No, no lies, no lies, man. You're
Thanks, man.
dropping some very, very great gems, man. I wish like maybe a 16-year-old me would listen to this and just feel so much confident in myself because I had so many ideas. Like I wanted to do everything. In fact, like I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to create. Like I wanted to create something. I just know I want to create. And then life just found a way of like putting me in that box. So let me just talk briefly. Like again, this is what this podcast is about, right? I felt that deep sense of, we like I wanted to just create stuff. I wanted to just create stuff. I wanted to make stuff happen. And then I went to architecture school. Boom. Boom. Like I'm saying boom because all that creativity just went and locked in a box, Yeah, like we get so, should I say, obsessed with lines and rather than art, because creating is art. Creating is the freedom, like just freedom to express. um and I feel like, I mean, nothing against architecture school for people that went there and feel fulfilled, but I feel like sometimes in that quest to really find, self and creativity and find what really resonates and find your voice and your expressions, sometimes life just takes us in maybe, directions. I remember when I was about to go into uni, I really wanted to study architecture because I felt like architecture was the closest thing to design. I didn't know whether there wasn't like, I think the other thing was industrial design, but that was like an arts side, and not a lot of university was offering it. I wanted to go to Unilag, so there was no industrial design in Unilag. I think the only school that had it was maybe Futa or something. Then sometimes we're tempted to get boxed up in that, should I say, profession. I'm a brand designer, or I'm an architect, or but you saying that you're a designer kind of just makes it make sense. And again, there's a popular saying by Chris Do that says God is a designer. And I was just ruminating over something some days ago. I was like, if God is actually the ultimate designer and he created everything that we have,
Everything,
everything that
exactly.
exists.
Yeah.
So he's not really just a brand designer. It's not
Yes,
just
and
an art
yeah,
director.
he's just
He's
really
a
great at putting things
multidisciplinary
together.
designer.
Yes,
Did you
yes, yes,
get,
yes,
like,
yes.
there's order, there's seas, there's sky, there's grass, there's animals. If design is really like in its entirety, we should be mimicking God. So why are we then now like, okay, I must only do this? Like, why are we boxing people into careers? I think design should be dynamic. I think creativity is really boundless, and that is really what this podcast is about. It's about showcasing people doing things in different sectors, in different practices. You see, Ni has like probably 4 or 5 expressions, and you probably can't even put them together, but you just know it's creating something. Ni does sound design, by the way. Sound. Like, he sent me one of his sounds, one of his sounds, and I was just listening. I was just like, this is so mad. Like,
I
it's
mean,
not making sense, but like,
knee is
I'm
top
just,
shelf. Knee is top
no,
shelf.
Ni is
He's
a
like,
genius.
yeah,
Ni is not,
his
he's
work
not
is
of this
amazing.
world.
His work is amazing.
Sheyi also, like, I mean, I could go on. People just expressing themselves. And I think that's where like fulfillment comes from. And even this for me is also my own form of expression because I love telling stories. I love having conversations that resonate with this creativity that I have in me. And hearing from you guys also like fuels me as well with that confidence that okay, I'm not alone in this. Like I've done architecture, I've done brand design, I've done product design, I'm an agency owner now. What else have I done? I draw, I paint. I mean, name it. But again, I feel like when I hear some people that are like senior people, they'll be like, why don't you just do product design? Why don't you just come and
Nah.
work in this company? And I'm like, bruh, I don't feel that way. Like, so, but yeah, this makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
and I love the fact that you're just not boxing yourself into that career or like field and just generalizing as okay, I'm just a creative, I'm a designer, and that's it.
Mhm.
And that is something. Let's just talk about some should I say inspirational, motivational topics, kind of leaning towards the end, but because we always try to keep it within the 1 hour mark. People have low attention span, so we have to make it as crunched as possible. Okay, so I'll ask you a random question now.
Yeah.
A few random
Yeah.
questions.
Sure. Go for it.
Okay,
Go
so
for it.
so yeah, Damian, you designed something, a poster that has "Made in Lagos" on it. Are you with FC? Tell me. Are you Whiskey FC, man? Tell me. Let me know.
No, 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 no. I'm not Whiskey FC.
Oh
Nah, no,
man,
no, no,
come on,
no,
come
no,
on, come on,
no, no,
come on.
no.
So where did that come from? Was it after the album though?
Definitely. I think that's my latest.
Come on, man.
Brothers.
Come on, man. Let me tell you. tell me.
But I love
Tell me
whiskey
I will
though. No,
jam
I
the
mean I
after
love
album.
whiskey. Like whiskey is whiskey.
Okay,
No, no,
man.
def whiskey is whiskey is top shelf.
Whiskey or Davido? Whiskey or Davido?
Let's just say whiskey is top shelf. Like I enjoy music, man. I enjoy music.
Okay.
I tend to not pick.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay. Okay.
whiskey has had a mad run. Like
Bruh. Bruh.
great run.
Bruh. I feel like people don't appreciate whiskey enough. That's just
Yeah,
my
I mean
opinion.
that's the
I feel like people
thing.
don't.
That's the thing. Like people start to appreciate him. I think when he stops making music, but like people forget. People
Bruh.
forget a lot. People
That
really,
guy
really forget. Whiskey is it.
is
Really,
deep.
like yeah,
Is deep.
he
Like
is.
we can't even go far into that conversation about whiskey today, but trust me, I've done my research on whiskey. I mean, with the few things I've seen, he's really, really intentional
He is
about
very,
everything he does.
very,
Everything he
very,
does, he is
very.
very intentional about it. And I appreciate his craft.
Yeah,
And even, his voice. He trains his voice
voice. Yeah.
so much.
People forget
Like
that
he does
Whiskey
like
hasn't really. He doesn't like he's maintained the uniqueness of his voice throughout the years. Like you hear Whiskey and oh, this is Wheezy singing. You always know it's the one. Is really good.
I watched one interview of P2J, his producer. One of the producers. I think he produced probably all the songs on that last album, or most of it. No, most of it. And one of the sessions, Wizkid had one take, like for a song, and it was in a trailer.
In a trailer,
He had one
wow,
take. Yes,
jeez,
and it was one take. It was
jeez.
one take. You know what it is to have one take? It means you record from start to
The
finish
end, yeah,
everything,
like
and then
Donzo.
you record the parts as well right there. I mean, it's deep. But today's not about whiskey, but yeah, yeah, man. So yeah, okay, that poster Made in Lagos. So you're a fan of whiskey? Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I pardon you.
Mhm.
Um, so I also see that you're a gamer, right?
Yes, yes, I
I
play
see
video
your
games.
feed.
Yeah,
You play games.
yeah.
So is that your way of like decompressing or like just easing off and just letting out some steam? How does that help your creativity?
Yeah, so gaming is not letting out steam for me. So I have this thing I say to my friends. I live my life like I'm playing a video game, but then I play video games like it's real life. Video games are a way for me to meet myself in a sense because when you're playing a video game, you're testing your decision making skills. That's really what you're doing. So whether you're playing FIFA, I love playing FIFA by the way, whether you're playing FIFA or you're playing adventure games, what you're testing is how great of a decision maker you are. That's really it. When two people are playing FIFA, the person who wins is a better decision maker. There's really nothing else. That's what it is. This person knows how to make decisions. They know how to use space. They know how to use the time that they have. And so if somebody's trashing you in FIFA, is that person's
Are you
better.
trying
So
to say Arsenal is not a good decision making
I
team?
mean, definitely. I mean, Arsenal is just yeah.
I had to go there. I hope 2G is watching this.
I
I,
mean,
I've been dragging I've been dragging him since yesterday, man.
like yeah,
Like
Arsenal. Yeah, they've just always been lucky, and they never want to admit it. Like they have a lot of work to do. You know, yeah, they are the team that says
they
that
go
the most.
again. They go again next
They say
season.
that the most. They say that the most. I mean,
Okay, that's interesting. I also touch on your should I say your aesthetic. You're right. I've seen some of your pictures. So at some point you went on pink hair and
yeah,
then you went back on dread. And I saw one
yeah,
of your comments like, where's the dreads or where are the dreads? I'm like,
yeah.
and then next thing I'm like, you're back in dreads. I'm like, what's going on? Damian, are you like what's they call those shape changing animals? Shape shifting animals.
Yeah,
So like, what's going on there? What's it about personal expression for you?
yeah.
What is it about? I feel like you're very expressive in your dressing, in your aesthetic, in your content. You're very. It's obvious that you have something going on. So what is really going on there?
So again, like because like I really love life. I mean, I'm in love with life generally. So I talked about my mom in passing. My mom is passed. My mom is late. And I got a chance to really experience like a last moments with her. Like, and that's something that I was really grateful for, and that really changed my psyche a lot. Like, um, you know, you just have. We tend to forget you're just here for a bit. You know, while you're here, just do you. You know, just like be yourself. I mean, as cliche, and that's something about cliches. You know, when you hear a cliche, maybe you should really pay attention. That the fact that it's a cliche is because like there's some truth in it. So it's just pay attention. Do what makes you you. And so when it comes to the way that I dress, how I play with my hair, all of that stuff, it's just another way for me to say, oh, this is Damian. This is who Damian is. Damian is not again. You can't box and say, oh, Damian is going to have one type of hairstyle for like I can change my hairstyle on a whim. Like it depends on how I'm feeling or the kind of feeling I want to project because I do things for those two reasons. I do things based on how I'm feeling or the kind of feeling I want to capture. Like so it's really just that. And so when it comes to clothes, again, the part of me that's a designer spills into that. Like I put on clothes. First of my clothes have to be comfortable. So I don't dress for anything. I dress for myself. I wear my I don't have Sunday's best. I wear my best clothes in the house. My friends come to the house and they see me dressed and they're like, "Are you going somewhere?" I'm like, "No, I'm wearing these clothes because like I want to wear it. Like it's not
Practically
yeah.
out.
Exactly. Like I'm not trying to
That's
dress
a
for
culture in Nigeria. It is actually a
yeah,
culture in
yeah, it
Nigeria.
is. Like people
Sundays
keep their
or
clothes. Yeah,
Saturdays
they
best
keep the clothes for like events. I wear all my
for the
clothes in the
best
house.
occasion.
Like I wear all my clothes in the house. I don't do any of that. And then I think with the thing with my hair, I really just you know I'd put on dreads and I realized that oh in all my life I've never dyed my hair. I've never done that. I'm just like we should experience that. Let's see what that's like. Exactly. And
Pink bucket, pink.
but like,
Feel
bro, I picked like I tried like five colors. Pink was the only one I just put out.
really?
Yeah, yeah. I tried like five different
Wow,
colors. I just really
wow.
liked the pink one. When I got the pink hair, it was the last
I
one
think it
also.
hits.
Yeah, it was the last one also. When I got the pink hair, I really liked it. I'm like, yeah, this was good.
It reminds me of a Pretty Boy Dove.
Oh yes, yes, and that's another artist I like.
I
I
love him
like,
too.
yeah, I like his music.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's really just that, just like
yeah. It's
another
quite it's
talent
quite
to express.
expressive too.
Yes,
Love
yes,
it.
yes, yes, yes.
Love it. Wow. This has been interesting. Okay, so some reflective questions
Sure.
about just about the podcast and about like your philosophy as a person
Okay.
and basically like creative hunger. So, what do you think about creative hunger? So, like the name of the podcast is Hungry Creative. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think in everything that we're talking about that we've been discussing so far? What do you think is the place of creative hunger in any creative adventure in the life of any person or any creative for that matter? What do you think the place of creative hunger is, or hunger generally is?
I think that's really important because hunger can also be can also mean your voice because you're like, we all have stuff to say, and then it is the hunger that eventually pushes you to speak. And speaking could be with your craft, or with your voice, or with how you dress, or the way you look. So it's just like, I think that hunger is really important, mostly because like a lot of people go through life never really say like doing that thing that lies within them. They never even get to meet it. um and I don't really think that that's really great. I think that you should hold on to your hunger as long as you can, because like I mean, when you look at the country, you look at Nigeria as a country, there's already a lot of barrier out there, trying to really make you toe a certain type of line, because you think about it, like you think about having a designer who is 50 still designing. Not a lot of people expect that. People expect that, oh, when you're 50, you're already a family man, you start going to church every Sunday, all that stuff. But you like being a designer, see it through to the finish line. Like like do it because you want to, not like because like like because you have to. I mean, because that's the word, not necessarily want to, because that hunger is really important because it drives you. Yeah, yeah, because you have to, like, really. You had talked about Chris Do. Chris Do is actually somebody that really, I mean, I don't read a lot of his books, but I look at him and I know that this is me in a sense, not his person, but I want to design until my hands can no longer work. I'm not. That's who I am. I want to. I'm always going to be a creator. And that's because the consistent like drive, or this thing we're calling hunger right now, I want to always stay true to it, like, because I always have something to say in my mind. So and I may not always get a chance to say it with my voice, but I can say it with my craft. And that's what the designer has. Like, the designer always has that chance to put something out there. I mean, Steve Jobs would say, like, when you look at the world today, everything you see in the world was put there by somebody. Like this microphone we're using is somebody's passion project. Like, you know, and then you have yours too. And you have to think of it as some type of privilege. Like, it's very like it's a privilege to
It's a
want
privilege.
to put something
It's a
out there in the
privilege.
world. It is, and I think a lot
It's
of
even
people
a
should.
responsibility too, I think.
Yes, it is. I mean, one of the reasons why I don't even like to stay so much on responsibilities, because responsibility sounds very heavy. But when you think of it as privilege, privilege comes from under. It sort of puts you up. Like, responsibility is a downing thing in a sense. That's how I view it. Yeah, that's how I view it. But when you say it's a privilege, you're then softer with it, because you must understand that the hunger is not aggressive. It's not against you. It is for you in a sense. Like, you have to see this hunger as that, like, the secret lies in that hunger in a sense. Like, so when you're worried, you should pay attention to the things that you're hungry about. Like, what is that thing that when you're by yourself, when you're lonesome, like, what is that thing that you keep thinking to yourself that, oh, this is what I want to do. That really is important. You should hold that really dear, like, hold that, like, and be like, man, I'm never letting this go, so that whenever you do get the chance to, like, express, you're always expressing from there. And that's what it means to be authentic. You have to be true to your hunger. If you are even going to be authentic in any way, you have to be true to the thing that drives you. So yeah, and then that's my view on it.
So much in there again. So much in there. Thanks for these gems. Thanks for these gems. Um okay, so wrapping up now. Should I say what would be my last question? I see you're also into cats.
Yeah, I am.
I used to have a cat. We used to have a cat in
Oh,
Nigeria. I
oh,
love cats. I
wow.
love
I
cats.
do, I do,
I love
I
cats. There was
do.
a time where my bio was cat lover.
Oh, right. I love cats. Like,
It was that deep.
I love
I
cats.
love cats. Yeah, I just feel like they're unpredictable, and it just tells me a lot. Like, I think they teach me a lot about life.
Life. Yeah,
Like,
I was going to say that.
they,
Like, they do be teaching you a lot about life. Cats are
like
generally.
you can't know what they are up to.
Mm-mm.
They One moment they want to be cuddly, next thing they're like,
They're like
oops,
by
nope,
themselves.
I don't need
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
I at one time I had like six cats at a time.
Really?
Yeah, and I
Really?
got to experience, so before that six cats at a time, I was always just having one cat. And I tell people that if you
Okay.
have cats, you
Once
should try
them
to have a lot of
together.
cats at once. The experience is
Wow.
different. Like when you have six
Wow.
cats in your house, I swear, is
Damn.
the experience is so different from
I
having
feel like
one
I'm gonna
cat.
miss my wife again. Oh.
The experience is really different. Like having multiple cats,
I feel
they
like I'm
do
gonna
the
miss.
weirdest things. They do
Wow.
the weirdest things. They
What?
do the weirdest
I
things.
swear,
They do
if
the
you check
weirdest
my
things.
Instagram, you can't scroll like three things and not see a
See a
cat
cat.
video.
They are so.
They're like so, and they are bullies. They are
Mm-hmm. And
bullies.
yes,
They are
very.
they will bullying the like the biggest animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine a cat taking on like maybe a bubble.
Yeah, like
Like imagine,
deaf. Like, and he's
and they'll
so
be like
sure. Like,
slapping the
yeah, he's so sure
like
that
they are so
nothing is gonna
daring.
happen. Like, yeah,
Like, bruh, I don't know where they get that confidence from, but it just teaches me a lot. Like, if I can have just an ounce of a
that
cat's
confidence.
confidence, and they're so curious still while doing
All
everything,
of that. Yeah,
they're like
very
tiptoeing to go and check things out.
gracious.
Like,
Like they move with so
bruh,
much
I
grace.
feel like they're
Is
just an amazing
Yeah,
animal.
very.
I feel
I
like
agree.
I mean, I could go on. They look after themselves. They clean
Like
after
clean up,
themselves.
like
They don't like being
at
dirty,
all, at all. And if you're dirty, they are going to let you know that you're a dirty owner. Like it's
bruh.
such
They
a
will give you space.
yes,
They'll
definitely,
just ease their way away from your
definitely,
mess,
definitely,
and they'll just find their corner and just stay there. And
definitely.
that's such a graceful animal. I don't know how people hate cats.
I mean, it's
There's
bad
there's this
PR.
African
Yeah,
culture.
it's just bad
It's
PR.
such a
Like, yeah,
bad PR.
it's just
Like
bad PR.
because
I
they
say
have
that to
glowing
people.
eyes or
I
what?
say that to
Like
people all the time. Yeah,
that's
like
so low.
I mean,
That's so low, man. Like when you hear if you tell an African parent that you love cat, they'll be like, hey, hey,
it becomes
hey.
a problem.
Like like I'm like, where did this mentality come from? They're such an amazing animal. And they are, I mean, I could go on. Let me know. This is not a cat show. Maybe I'll create a cat show. Maybe I'll create a cat show just to bring cat enthusiasts together. But that's interesting. Damien, we've been speaking about your interest in different fields and your foray and expressions, and just exploring different sectors from product to digital to brand. And my ultimate question for you is that: do you find fulfillment in doing all these things? Are you fulfilled? Can you say that you're fulfilled today?
Yeah, very interesting question. And I think that my answer to that is yes. Because, like, fulfillment for me really, really just comes from partaking in life. I mean, it's doing the things that I say I would do. And that really counts for me. So, for example, um, when I'll segue into like the product furniture bit. So, when I say to myself that I want to make a dining for myself. And I go on to make that dining and then I see it in my house. I feel very good about that. And that is fulfillment for me. I mean, it's so in a sense, it's not in the act of making of the dining. It's that again, like I segue back to the conversation about going on that journey. I mean, going on this creative journey gives me fulfillment, knowing fully well that when I'm in front of my screen or with my artisans where I'm working or seated with a pen and a biro, that I'm meeting myself. Because like fulfillment is I'm trying to discover like what else exists inside of Damian. Because like that's it really. What else exists? Like really, that's it. That's it for me.
Thank you so much for answering that in such a beautiful way. Let me just ask the closing question, but thank you so much, Damien. I feel like this has been a very engaging conversation, very insightful, packed with so many gems and takeaways. So for us on on the podcast, we have a culture of asking a closing question for every guest that comes on the show, and the question is basically, what are you doing to become a better version of yourself?
Oh, right, right, right. So like, and it's actually funny that you're asking this question right now, because I'm currently that's like a journey that I'm currently on. I mean, I've been on this journey for as long as I've been alive. Like, I mean, I just believe that the very point of existing is that even when you're not conscious about it, but the moment you become conscious, it then becomes very intentional, and then you start to see the effects like in real time. But one of the things that I'm really doing to become a better version of myself is I'm moving around a lot. And by moving around, I mean my body. So as creatives, we spend a lot of time sitting down, you're working and stuff. Yeah. um, but recently I have this habit now where I'm like, I jog like about 3 to 4 times every week. And I mean, it seems like just a physical thing, but it affects my mental health directly. Because I mean, just biologically, if you're moving around, more oxygen gets into your brain, and the more oxygen you have in your brain, the better it is you're with making decisions. And just like I was saying about how, the video game and the life thing, like life is really just a collection of decision making. The person who is, when you say, "Oh, that's a stupid person," what you really are trying to say is that they make stupid decisions a lot of times, because we all make stupid decisions, but the difference is frequency. Like, how frequently do you make stupid decisions? That's what makes you a stupid person. So so moving around.
It's funny your analogy, man. Like your analogy is so it's
I swear, honestly, so that I think that
maybe
I
you're
really,
some sensei in some village. Are you sure you're not some sensei in
nah, nah,
one
nah,
one remote?
nah, man. I really just love life. I swear. So like moving around a lot, like exercising, it helps me then spend, because I used to meditate a lot without exercising, but exercising and going on jogs and sometimes going to the gym, but not really the gym part. It's really the jogging part. Jogging, and I don't jog on a treadmill. I mean, it's great if you jog on a treadmill, but I jog in life. Like, I get on the streets. I'm a designer. I can get inspired by anything, so I want to be inside of that anything. I don't want to be in the gym. I want to be outside. So when I go on jogs, I come back home with so much energy. My brain is firing, which is what energy drinks try to sell to you, but they are gaslighting you in a sense. Yeah, but get dopamine from life. Go on a run. And when you come back home, you're even able to meditate more. So like that even force and that sort of spills into a lot of things. Like, it helps with reading, because definitely I do be reading a lot. I don't think that any creative should steal from themselves by not reading. You should read a lot. You should read like, and there's this question that keeps going on Twitter, where people ask questions like, "Oh, so how do you build taste as a designer?" I mean, like, the only way to build taste is to participate in life. Like, get into life. Like, don't, like, do life. Be interested in life. Like, go on, take yourself out on dates. Go and drink a bottle of wine alone somewhere. Go for some salsa class if you can. Like, join communities where they read books. Like, you have to participate in life to really build taste. That's really, you can't really shortchange it in a sense. Like, when you see someone and you say, "Oh, they have great taste," like, if you check the person's life, they probably move around a lot. They probably travel a lot. They probably read a lot of books. They probably see a lot of movies. And they probably listen to music. And because what you are is a sponge, and you would always absorb what you expose yourself to, and that's really how you build taste. You see stuff, and then it becomes a part of you. So I mean, that's really just it. So for me, what is at the core of all of that is moving around, because moving around gets you interested. I think that that's the thing. You don't want to like be too tired to participate in life. I think you get better the more you participate in life. Like, you expose yourself to life, and then you get better as a person, especially when, like, say for example, you give yourself the grace to even listen to your own thoughts, and listen and then filter and be like, "Oh, I mean, I used to think like this before. I mean, we can think differently today." So the thing that would even get you to that place is, like, I mean, for me, like, this doesn't necessarily have to work for everybody, but for me, it was moving around a lot. Like, really jogging, really, I'd say jogging saved my life. It made it easier for me to see myself, and I think that that's really one thing that is key. Like, all form of awareness is a form of privilege, but it's really important that you start to see yourself early. see, like, ask yourself questions. Why do I think this way? Like, that journey is a really long one, but running just made it possible for me to like start to think about these things in a sense, because like when you run, you become aware of your entire body. That's another form of awareness. Like, that there's the awareness that is just mental, where you're just thinking and you're just in your head. A lot of creatives get lost in their head. But when you go on a run, you realize you have legs. Like, I mean, it's such a funny thing to say, like, because you're moving around the house every day with your legs, but you don't even know. Like, a lot of people, like, when you're using your leg, we forget, because until you have an injury, that thing that happens where you have an injury on your elbow, and then you realize how important your elbow has always been.
The elbow
Do
is
you understand?
raw,
So
raw,
like,
raw.
it's really
You
crazy.
can say
So
that again. You're even going too far. Even
like,
your
bro,
fingertips,
like
even
you
your
have
nails,
one
even the
small
trim
injury
of
on
your
your nails, and you realize, yo,
that's when you know
like,
that
yeah.
my body is actually active. I'm
hmm
active.
I mean, yeah, that's really it. That's really it for me. That's
That's
really
so
it for
true,
me.
man. That's so true and so deep,
Yeah.
man. Thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.